Thank you, Jan and Klaus. Well, on the stage already, Felix and Roland from Vienna, Austria. Great that you're here. I already mentioned last year he's got a certain hobby. He's a hobby accountant. So that was he doing in his leisure time. And you see of course, the talk has something to do with Neos and AI, in this case, AI agents. And Roland is the devil's advocate that has been talking about AI for the past at least 2 years everywhere, and being like the one who really wants it to integrate into Neos and being very aware of it. And now we're here, and welcome. Stage is yours. Please don't forget to rate the talk and ask questions.
So I know what some of you might be already thinking, oh no, yet another AI talk. And I know the hype is quite exhausting. Seeing past the hype, I'm very convinced that AI is useful. And I'm not saying in any way that AI is living up to the hype. I'm saying AI is a utility, and independent of the hype, we can make really interesting, cool things with it. There's a concept called time capsule, which I like to do. The basic idea is you're trying to predict what will happen in the next half year, in the next year, in the next 2 years, and then you put it away, and then a year later you see how right or wrong you are. And it's a really humbling thing to do, because after doing it a few times, you notice how often you're wrong, and you can tell yourself a story like, oh, I actually didn't know everything yet. It turns out it was very different. I had many of these with the AI, and I remember last year, together with a colleague, we tried to build a voice-based AI agent. We got semi-good results. The latency was way too long, and I thought it will take at least a year till that works. It seemed very far off. And then 3 months later, ChatGPT Advanced Voice came out, and I was totally surprised how fast things were changing. I had a similar thing last November, where it felt like the AI advances are slowing down, and I was kind of like believing into it will slow down thing. And then O1 Pro came out, and I bought the $200 per month thing, so I had to use it to get use of it. And I really got in the habit of finding cases where it's helpful, and it's just another level of reliability. So again, I was surprised how fast things can change. And for a long time, I was like, oh, I don't trust AI coding. It seems not really useful. And then in February, a friend of mine got me to actually try it. And I did a weekend project where on the weekend project, my goal was to not code one line, but always tell, in my case, cursor via voice mode, what it has to do and where it should change the file and what error I have. And after doing that a few hours, it actually didn't feel so weird anymore, and it kind of clicked to me that there's some value there. So how many of you are like often using cursor or windsurf, just to get a feeling? All right, a few. Try it on a weekend project. Try to build something new. Try to explain exactly what you want, and see. Try it out. It was interesting for me. And I heard a similar story last week from the creator of Tailwind that also had this experience of like, oh, I don't know, I can write Tailwind code myself. And then they're like, oh, actually, it's an interesting combination. So the cursor UI looks like this, and the idea is you tell it what you want, and it searches through files, it tries to understand your context, and proposes changes. So similar like a Git commit or like a pull request, and then you approve or you decline. And the interesting thing in the last few months, the tool didn't get better by having better frontier models, but the biggest changes were actually engineering. Building feedback loops, so if there's a TypeScript type error, that the LLM knows about it and can fix it. Looking up libraries and things like that. So actually it's changing, and at this point, engineering becomes more important than just the frontier models. If you build a good system around it, you can get more reliable results, which is actually good for us because that's what we like to do. So I'm really sure that there will be something like this for CMS. I think there will be a cursor or a windsurf of CMS, and the question is not if it will come, but the question is who will build it. But there are also many things that fail. And I think one good example here is the Gmail Help Me Write. The basic idea is when you're starting in your Gmail inbox and you want to write an email, you can create a prompt to write an email. So this is an example from Pete Kuhlman, where he says like, oh, hey, let my boss know that my daughter woke up with the flu this morning and that I won't be able to come in the office today. And then it rewrites it to something really weird, like, oh, I'm writing you to inform you that my daughter woke up. This is probably not the way you write with your boss or your colleagues, and it's a very generic thing. And he's saying is in his article, he would just say, hey, Gary, my daughter woke up with the flu, so I won't make it today. So there are multiple problems. The one is, it doesn't write it all like you want, but the bigger problem, actually the prompt was longer than the actual end result. So there's not really any valuable in this thing here, even though I'm sure that there are great engineers working at it, and they're using the flagship models from Gemini, which are really good models. But this is not the way it's supposed to be. And the main reason is probably they have a system prompt, something like this. Hey, you're a helpful email writing assistant responsible for writing emails on behalf of the user, follow the user's instruction, be very formal, in the business tone, try to be very serious and professional. And then you get these kind of weird emails. So the problem is it's a black box. There's this system prompt that's done by some kind of Google project manager, and you can't change it. You can't make it your own. So when you're building things, don't do this. Try to build things where the editor can choose the style, the tone, the words, to really make it theirs. AI agent is, at this point, mainly a marketing term. I wouldn't really try to even define it. The general idea is you have an LLM, and then you add tools, and you add your own content, and then it can do stuff more reliable. So it became way easier to create content, and you can create a lot of content really fast. So that causes a lot of pressure for editors to produce more and more content, and always to compete with the latest tweet from Elon Musk or some viral video. So it's really hard to stay relevant. And there are two ways how you can stay relevant. The one path is you just provide extreme high quality depth and excellence to what you're doing. So imagine you have a legendary software architect and he writes a book how to write the perfect software. It will be very helpful because there are very deep insights in it. But on the other hand, it can also be extremely valuable if it's personalized. So imagine you just get a good software architect, but he takes a look at all your code from the last year, he reviews all the work you've done, and gives you very concrete examples where you could do better things. That would also be of huge value because it's personalized. And so the second step will be the place where a lot of things will happen, by trying to build more personalized experiences. And it will take a while till many people adopt. I remember for years that there was this, let me Google this site for you, for people who didn't learn yet how to use Google, and you just like send them the link to the Google results page. And there will be something similar with content. For many years, people won't use deep research on all their problems. So you kind of can do that for them and provide additional content that is more tailored to specific people. Now, for the past 2 years, I've been focused on the intersection between AI and content management. We've built multiple production projects for clients like Gurkel, Wiener Zeitung, Puls 4, and we discovered some really nice patterns that create reliable workflows or automations. Now, the thing I'm most proud of is we saved thousands of hours for editors that are really boring, like going through product descriptions and checking if they are compliant with some regulations. And this is that can be a huge help. So who's us? Us is Daniel, Felix, and me. And yeah, that's us. Mm-hmm. So from the why, let's figure out how we can actually do this. Felix, you want to show us?
Yes, not yet. We still need the slides. Thank you very much. So, thank you for coming. Welcome. One example that we brought in here for you today is how to build like a brand guard agent for Neos. Does any of you work in a company that has a very extensive brand guide, or do you have customers who have that? Hands up. Ah. You know, like sometimes it's just about the writing style of your company name, like is it lowercase, is it uppercase? Sometimes, but it's also stuff like what product names should we use, what should we not use anymore? Are we using formal language or informal language? And remembering all that, especially for an editor, and checking all that by hand, this is very tedious. And what if all of the content that is published by the editors is automatically brand checked, brand guide checked, as we say, with automated suggested improvements, but without disturbing the editor while he's doing the stuff. And this is what you can do with AI agents, and I'm going to show you how. But first, let's start with the idea of it. So the basic schema of the workflow would be like your editors change content. There's new content on the website. It triggers a webhook, and it is sent to a workflow tool, which gives it to an AI agent who does the brand check. Like the AI agent, the system prompt knows how it should look. It knows all the rules. And if necessary, it comes up with suggestions. And eventually, then the editor is notified and can decide whether he wants to approve or reject the changes. And the tool that we used for that is N8N. Some of you may know it. Who, by the way, here knows N8N? Who is using it? Probably everybody who knows it uses it as well. Why did we choose N8N? First of all, it's open source. It's open source. You can run it either in their cloud or on your own servers, which is very nice. The workflows can be downloaded as JSON files, which keeps you in ownership of your own workflows, actually. And you can connect almost everything, may it be OpenAI, any other LLM model, CRM, or Neos, and all of that using visual workflows that non-coders can understand and maintain, but also that developers will love. And now, fingers crossed, we're going to go into a live demo now. We brought you 2 workflows today, and one of them I will show now. The first one is very simple. I just make a change here. So the first part of our workflow is sending an update, like when content changes, sends an update to a Slack channel that I have prepared here. Yeah, with
if it's possible, just on the
yeah.
editor to have the slides. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to publish this, and then let's dive into the workflow for a second. So this is the first part. As you see here, we receive the webhook. We just do some basic tests where the URL is configured. We have to adjust the JSON a bit so that we can more easily send it to the model. And for the first part that I'm going to show you is like this status update for the Slack channel. So when someone changes the content, we send a notification to a Slack channel. This system prompt is very simple. Just says like, please summarize the content changes on the website in 1 or 2 sentences in text for a Slack message to keep the team informed about the website content. Keep it brief, no intro, no outro. And then we give it the changes as JSON that we got from the webhook. And what's very cool about N8N is that here on the right side, like when you test the workflow, it remembers like the data that you sent in for the test, so you can very easily debug here and see what is actually being sent to a server. And let me see. And the last node is to send it to Slack. And let me see, did we get a notification? Yes, we got a notification. Updated the hero title on the site page from the demo will start soon to the demo is live now. Now let's get to the brand agent. It's the other branch in our workflow. And for that, I'm going to copy this text here, which has a word in it that we're not supposed to use according to our brand guide. And the word is the word generic. We say like we don't want to use that word. Very simple example. Let's try it out. While the workflow is working in the background, I'm going to explain the rest of it to you. So this OpenAI model block here also gets the changes. This system prompt is a bit more elaborated. In the first part, you see the brand voice. This is the brand definition. And here we said, like, Neo Sidekick is developer-focused. Avoid using the word generic. Very simple example. In the second block, we send the changes as JSON, and these are only the actual changed properties. The rest of the node, the context, comes in a third block. This helps the model to distinguish what are the properties that I should actually look at and what is just additional context for it. Yeah? In the end, we say define how we want to have the output. To say answer with a JSON the following structure. Changes should be an object, same structure as the changes from above, but only with the values that need spelling or grammar correction, or that need to be adopted to match the brand voice, based on the provided brand voice document only. Keep any HTML code and IDs as before. If no corrections are needed, return an empty JSON object. And then we also have changes explained, which is just like a markdown list for what was changed based on the brand voice rule. This is just for the Slack message to inform then the team what are the suggestions and what they should accept. Strictly only output valid JSON. So far for that. For this simpler example, we use the O4 Mini, which is a smaller model. We're going to have a more sophisticated example afterwards. But first, for the rest of the workflow, if there are any corrections, we create a new workspace in Neos and update the node properties within the workspace, according to the suggestions. And eventually, we send a message to Slack, and we wait for approval. And the approval would lead to the workspace being published and deleted afterwards, or we discard the workspace and delete it. And in the meantime, we see here, we got a message from our workflow. It says, AI recommendations replace generic with one-size-fits-all to avoid the forbidden word generic and align with the developer-focused brand voice. Now, isn't that nice? Now we can say approve to publish. Got it, thanks. And once I reload my UI, I see the generic word is gone. It says one size fits all. How do you like that so far? So, and we got the content update, obviously, that it was changed. But we go on. With a more sophisticated example. We want to test the limits. Microsoft Style Guide has over 1,100 pages. And I have no idea how marketing people can remember all of that content. just have to prepare the workflow here first.
So what we did here is we copied the whole Microsoft brand guide from the website, changed it to Markdown, and copied it here into like a thing for us to prepare it. So we're using the same prompt. The only thing we're changing, instead of our small document for the brand voice, we're including this 1,000 pages document, which you probably normally, I mean, you wouldn't do that in production, but if you want to do that in production, we'd use a really big model like O3 Pro mode, but that takes too long, so we'll try it with O3. And we're just copying the whole brand guide in here, which actually slows down the browser because it's so much content. And now we'll try the same with our huge brand guide.
And we switch to O3, which is the bigger model, so that it can handle all of the information. So I'm going to do the same again. I copy my text block. I create a new text block here below. And this will take some time because obviously 1,100 pages is a bit of heavy lifting to do for the model. So in the meantime, I can show you here, like this is the overview of this brand guide. You see just by looking at the menu here, you see how much it is. And if we go and download the PDF, takes a bit. And then just look at the scroll bar here on the right side. It's just like, yeah. So, and we're just waiting now for the workflow to come up with suggestions in this paragraph. Usually you would do it a bit different, like we just pasted the whole brand guide in there. If it's that long, you should do it in multiple steps, like having a workflow that only focuses on punctuation, having a workflow that focuses on the wording, etc. Right, Roland? Mm-hmm. Yes. So I see a star coming up here. Aha. So one of the things in the Microsoft brand, in the latest brand guard, because it changes that often, is they don't want to use co-pilots anymore. So it says here, replace co-pilots with collaborators to avoid the deprecated term co-pilot and use clear, inclusive language. And it did some other small change, like adding a non-breaking hyphen and so on. This time I want to show you here in the workspace module. Interesting. It only found this. Oh, no.
But
it's all good.
It's changed. It's good.
Yeah, it's changed. And then we can just publish it. Good. Now back to the slides, please. I want to show you now a little bit how we actually did that code-wise. So the core of the webhook integration basically looks like this. We're just listening for most of the content repository. This is still Neos 8, by the way. Signals, and we first line them up in a local property in a singleton. Like we collect all of the signals because it could be that you, sorry.
So that you might have multiple node changes in one publish.
Yes, exactly.
And we're collecting them.
Yes, we're collecting them. And then in the end, we just at shutdown object. So when Neos is done with all of the signals, we just send them to the webhook endpoint in batch. That avoids lengthy loading times and ensures that there are like no race conditions, like that the workflow isn't triggered multiple times and stuff. This is how it looks. I had to cut out some lines because it's much more code, but still it's a very straightforward code actually. Here's another example. This is one of the tools that we implemented, for instance, like the Create Workspace tool. You see, this is not so complicated to do, and it shows you like that you can all do that. It's and it really brings a lot of value. But after all, it's also important like to take care of some important rules when using these workflows. And one is like the agent is never allowed to have more permissions than the editor. It's the responsibility of the editor to decide what should be published. Because similar like how we're developers, like if we just blindly publish a pull or merge a pull request from a junior dev, and we're probably fucked. What's also important is that with this workflow concept, editors are in charge of the prompt and its constant improvements. And it's important, as we said before in the Google example, like you write the rules and not some Google project manager. And because the last workflow was so much fun, I have another workflow for you. Switchy screen, please. So. It looks like this. Looks a bit different, huh? And this is a more flexible setup than the other one. So the other one was a quite fixed workflow that interacted with AI agents. And what if you could talk to Neos just the way you talk to OpenAI? Like, now, we've seen this before today, and here's our workflow for that. The best thing about both of the workflows, by the way, is you can download them afterwards. We're gonna give them to you. And let's try it out. So to open this chat here. So to explain it a little bit beforehand, we just have an AI agent here that's connected to an OpenAI model. Roland will do some work already here. It's connected to OpenAI, it's connected to a simple memory, but on the right side, that's what the interesting things are. These are the tools that we have connected in Neos. So it can search the content repository. It can create workspaces. It's the same endpoint we've seen before, by the way. Update node properties. It can also access the sitemap, etc. And that way we can ask it, for instance, like, hey, on my website, can you please change Gmail to Office 365? And we submit. And here you can really see very nicely how he's like thinking and using the tools. So yeah, I said I found multiple instances, etc. And he asks me in that case, like, please clarify your expectation. Like, should I replace it everywhere? Yes, please. Yeah. Yes, please replace Gmail everywhere with Office 365. Creates a workspace, very nice. You know, like, this comes really in handy when you have a very large content repository and when it's not very easy to write content migration. Like, who of you wrote content migrations in the course of their career? Hands up, please. Did you love it? Meh. So, what did you do? Ah, yeah. He changed it and he gave me a link that I can open in the workspace module. Geh zur Adresse. Ah, yeah. You see here, Gmail, Office 365, good. Another Gmail, Office 365. And we have here an article where we also had Gmail, Office 365. And then in this large sentence here, the whole block, we have Gmail in the beginning and at the end. This is why the whole block is highlighted. Office 365, Office 365 down there. Looks good, doesn't it? And I have one more question to the, sorry. Like, I'm gonna ask him something about our automation tool. Don't tell it it's N8N, but he doesn't know yet. He has to look in the content repository. So, what was the name of the automation tool mentioned on the website? Search in nodes, search in nodes. The automation tool mentioned on the website is N8N. It describes it, etc. Very good. You did its job. How do you like that? Back to our slides, please. So, we had fun. And we experimented, started to experiment a few weeks ago, and we came up with the first draft of this package that we used for exposing like these tools and for the webhooks. You can turn this into production code. I told you, like, we're gonna give you the workflow files, and you can also find the package online. There are just a few rough edges and things to do before you can go live with it. we didn't secure the webhook yet. So right now, everybody who knows the webhook endpoint could potentially access it, send data to it. That still needs to be done. We need to add a secret token there. Again, as I said before, the AI agent should never have more permissions than the editor, so you make sure wherever you send your approval links, may it be Slack, may it be fax, may it be Messenger Pigeon, make sure it doesn't land in the wrong hands. Because after all, it's the editor's decision what should be published and what not. And finally, I know some were already experimenting with it as well. We wanted to integrate the whole MCP protocol, and we didn't do it yet. It will be the new standard for working with AI agents. The tools are already using that syntax, but there's still some stuff to do. So if anyone wants to make a pull request or work on that, feel free. And with that, I give it back to Roland.
All right, so we have seen AI agents is basically a LLM, some tools, and some guidance. For the guidance, you need to write prompts, and there's a way to write prompts that are reliable and that work in a repeatable fashion. So a common pattern is typically that you give the LLM an identity. You are a helpful assistant, you are an editor, you are whatever, and some context, like what's the current date, what kind of context is it, on what website is it working on, some facts, so it can do a good job. Then when you're writing prompts, be very specific. So don't say things like, oh, use some friendly tone. Instead, be precise, say, address readers as you, avoid third person. This is way easier to follow. Show examples, because it's really good at mimicking things it gets. So if you have a few good examples of brand writing, it will be very good at following these examples. And there's also some patterns. Use declarative language. So similar to how we do in Fusion, and it's not a function that is executed, but it's like declarative. We can write declarative things for the LLM, like always talk in direct second person. And you can define triggers, which work similar to if-then blocks. So you can say, if you output a price, always add excluding VAT. And you can write these if-then statements, so it really knows when to apply your rules. And this is my favorite rule from the GPT-4 prompting guide. It's generally not necessary anymore to incentivize models with bribes and tips. That was an old trick to get the model to follow your instructions better. You're just telling them it will get a lot of money, or you're risking the lives of people if you're not doing this exactly correct, and then you got some nicer behavior. This is not necessary anymore. There's many things we know from coding which applies a lot to this domain as well. So regularly evaluate how good things are working, and the best way is to collect data. So if you use the brand guard thing and you use it yourself, collect when users approve and decline, and then figure out what are typical errors you're getting. And just adopt your prompt based on that. Also, all models have different personalities and different styles of behaving, and AI tools are kind of like Lego bricks. You can build more interesting things with different colors, and you can have a Claude that writes very nicely, and you can use a Gemini that follows instructions very well, and you can combine these into more complex workflows. So the two questions that are really helpful to figure out what to do is, which activities are the most tedious or most boring or time-consuming activities, and what do I avoid because it's too exhausting to do? And if you ask the people who are using your websites, like the editors, these questions, you'll get some good ideas of what should be the first things you start. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if you call them agents or workflows or whatever. The interesting thing is we can build things and we can empower editors by giving them the way to adopt it themselves. Till now, editors couldn't adopt like code because they can't write code, but most editors can write text. So now they can change the behavior of some things themselves, which is really interesting. You can build a scorecard like Pokemon. You can build a brand guard that rewrites it, and it's an automation, and it's very reliable if the rules are formulated well. You can build a junior editor. You can't fully trust it yet because he's new on the job, but he can be super helpful by finding all the places where some things are mentioned. You can build a SEO guy that goes through your website and adds SEO titles, meta descriptions, or fixes some broken links. Or you can build a accessibility advisor that makes sure that every image has an alternative text and that the hierarchy of headlines is correct. So if you go a bit crazier, you could weekly use the heat map of a page and say like, hey, figure out where people are dropping off and improve it. You get a draft, and then you can run an A/B test. Or you can take your favorite news stories from some RSS feed and weekly just run an agent to figure out what's interesting based on your own documents and the intersection of your content, and this content can lead to some first drafts that of course need to be revised, but it brings ideas. And there's so many more things. What I really want to emphasize is that these things here, they're all buildable, and it's not the limitation of LLMs anymore. It's really, you need 2 or 3 weeks as a developer to program one of those, and you can build them in a really reliable way. And we can use all the features from Neos, like workspaces, to use this kind of like pull request kind of concept to build interesting things. So what you need to understand how to pick a model. Typically, you're looking at price, speed, reliability, and personality, because some models behave a bit different. And you might want to orchestrate them. You want to write good system prompts, and you want to keep it flexible for editors, so you're not stuck on one prompt that is somewhere in Git. You need, for bigger projects, memory management. We have seen it with the junior agent. It remembers the whole chat history and the tool calls, so you need some kind of memory management. And there are more advanced strategies of picking what's the working memory, what's more long-term memory. You need integrations and tools. I think there's not much to say. You know how to implement APIs, you know how to connect things, rate limiting, and making sure that everything works. And lastly, you should consider AI security. There's some different security things you want to consider, like prompt injection and infecting your memory and a few things like that, which is mostly important if you allow people outside your organization access to these tools. And then there are a few AI-specific threat models. All right. I think it's incredibly important to start building more AI around our CMS and with our CMS. I'm using important not so often. I think really there's a big chance here. And I think it will be very clear in the next year that there are a huge amount of utility for these strange minds, as Christopher Summerfield calls it. And I know that here in the conference there are engineers which are way smarter than me, and they're better engineers, and I really would love to build cool things together. So if you want to build stuff, talk to me, write me. If you want to build something, we have an AI Slack channel in the Neos community. write what you want to build, and maybe we find more people who want to collaborate. So join the Slack, and thank you. And the talk is based on a lot of research and a lot of background material, and I added many links on this URL, and also the workflows and the work in progress news package. Thank you.
Hi. We have a few questions. Thank you for your talk. Applause, applause. Did we skip the applause? We have a few questions. One of them is very pragmatic, which is something that I love about this community. Someone says, can you use it for Microsoft Teams rather than Slack?
I said you can also use fax. That's okay. If you find a suitable API for that, fine.
If you find someone that still has a fax?
That's really nice with this tool, Anyden. It has so many integrations. I'm pretty sure Teams will be integrated. I haven't looked up that, but I know that all the common CRMs are in it. Google Drive is in it. A lot of stuff. Just look it up on their website.
And you can still write custom requests. So it always works.
Inside the whole workflow, you can always make a code node, which we used a few times, and you can just write JavaScript. So you're still able to transform data and do things more easily than in other tools like Zapier or Make, where you're limited in what you can do as a developer. But here you can just write any JavaScript, which is so nice.
All right, we're going to have to keep it brief because there's actually a few questions, and they're very good questions. Someone asked, you mentioned in your talk a prompt that included the words strictly answer with valid JSON. And someone asked, how reliable is a prompt like that? Can it happen that it fails and you would get back invalid JSON?
Not really anymore. The models were trained a lot to output reliable JSON. You have a flag inside the bigger, like Gemini and OpenAI. I know you can flag that you only want to have a JSON output, and then if you get invalid JSON, it just retries. So no.
How about, are you experiencing any resistance while pitching these AI features to clients?
It's a bit tricky.
That's a long wait.
It's a bit tricky because most people don't get it. There are some people that are still believing the hype of, but can't just do like AI do everything. And then there are some people who are like, I think over the last 3 months, people are figuring out that it's actually useful and what you can do with it. So I've seen a lot of change in the last 3 months. But you need a client that understands roughly how AI works.
Okay, and looking at the time, will you build an N8N agent for Neos?
We started, and we would love to. Yeah. Maybe some people want to help us. I think it's actually very doable, yeah.
Plus, I think if we're a few more people, we would actually have a chance to get it as an official element in N8N. That would be nice.
All right, I do have a few more questions, but if the questions are in the app, then they're in the room. Some of them are spicy, asking about carbon footprints, for instance. But I'll skip that for the social event later. Let's fight it out there. I want to thank you very much. We're going to throw some gifts at you. And yeah, hey, let's give a big round of applause to these two guys. All right. And then next, up here in 15 minutes, because we're on track, Michael is going to tell us about the great and the bad things that happen when you try Neos 9 in a beta. And on the studio stage, Martin and Bernhard are telling us about open API specs. And yeah, grab a coffee. Maybe see if there's still some ice cream left over, because that was very refreshing. Our friends at Format D, is it empty? No. Tell me now. Okay. Woo! So let's grab an ice cream, and we'll meet you back down here or up there in 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Bye.